Welcome back to the worst analyst desk of all time here at the European Masters, where each and every one of us was wrong because SK Gaming.
Okay, that's where you're going with that. I thought you were just like flat up BMing us there.
No, why would I do that to myself? I'm the best person on this desk. I'm joking. That was Splyce Vipers being dismantled by SK Gaming, and we all thought, a lot of the popular opinion was that Splyce Vipers were one of the best teams coming in. Power rankings for them, done by the guys behind the Reddit thread, said, Megalodontus and Clockwork, I've said the name about 50 times now, but you know.
Yeah, we know.
They put themselves, put Splyce Vipers right at the top of those power rankings, and there were questions. I mean, Hatrix did say he was uncomfortable about Rogue. SK Gaming are definitely a strong team online, especially everyone says the SK Gaming Prime Online buff. It definitely seems to be there for them. What exactly happened in that game, Celtic?
I mean, we talked a little bit about this where Frennick got to lock in the Rek'Sai against the Jarvan, so it does give them a little bit of a lead there. And then from there, it quickly followed into, well, Sakray's carrying. Because,
I wish we could zoom in on your notebook on the camera. I don't think it's possible. But you just circled Sakray about 50 times.
Yeah, I actually almost removed half the other names because I kept circling it so much because those team fights were pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a really good counter gank as well coming through from Frennick. A brilliant pull from Doss. You can see why he was comfortable on this Thresh in this particular lane. It just seemed to go from bad to worse for Splyce.
Yeah, and this is, again, a lot of people were talking about, Frennick was their early game, and then Sakray really came online a little bit later on. The team as a whole, of course, playing quite well, because there's a Gen X play as well.
Gen X is a monster, just so you know. He's an absolute monster on that Akali. And even though we felt that the Splyce had more of a traditional composition with an easier to execute win condition, SK kind of just won from the laning phase and snowballed from there.
That's the thing. We talked about this as well, with SK consistently getting that strong early game, and then following it up with this really strong mid game. The issue is, I feel like we got a little bit less of that strong mid-game. It did slow down slightly. I think SK still played it quite well. They maintained their pressure and control over neutral objectives. But certainly it felt like Splyce Vipers almost had the chance to farm back into it. But then every time a fight kicked off, SK were just executing on all fronts.
I mean, I mean, Sakray. You were about to say Sakray, I'm about to say Sakray. Holy moly, these massive slicing maelstroms out of this guy were just gorgeous to watch.
I think it's ban Akali versus Gen X as well. Because whilst we talk a lot about the way that those slicing maelstroms have massively impacted the fight, Gen X was cleaning left, right, and center too.
Yes.
SK looked strong, looked really strong, and I think arguably are now the first out of their group just based on that performance alone. No, no disrespect to the remaining members in that group, but you know just how strong SK look. You can't imagine them losing a game in this entire group.
Well, I think they're just going to be walking into the playoffs with some new snakeskin boots on, so they're feeling pretty happy with themselves right now.
You were boiling that line for the whole game, weren't you?
I've been ready. I've wrote my hand and everything.
So it was a brilliant game by SK, and now we're going to move on to our next, which I think I was right in saying it's Mad Lions versus those Diffuse Kids. That was
you're fine. You got it.
I got it just at a game too early. This is going to be another one of our play-ins teams. We've got two play-ins teams in this group, SK and Mad Lions, and they were taking on Diffuse Kids. Now, actually, it's the wrong group entirely. I'm going to completely just scrap that. It's Group B. Diffuse Kids, obviously from the Benelux region. Now, they've been having a bit of fun on Twitter. I know you guys. Foxy is their #1 fan. I'm pointing up there because that's where Foxy is, by the way, just in case you wonder why. No, he's just literally he's literally just above me. So yeah, Foxdrop obviously put them coming second out of this group. He's got some strong belief in our Benelux bros. I know we said the Balkan bros, but we'll go for the Benelux bros. And I've loved the way they've interacted in Twitter about this. I think a lot of them know the odds are stacked against them, but they're going in expecting to have a lot of fun. And, you know, sometimes if you just go in swinging and not caring, you can often get some wins.
You know what? They're about to surprise 3-0. I don't believe it at all, but I'm going to state it anyway.
I'm also going to state it. Diffuse Kids 3-0 this group.
Diffuse Kids are going to walk all over every team they face.
There's a bomb in this group, and they're going to defuse it. And they're also children doing the defusing.
Man, did you?
I don't know where I was going with that.
Personally, I think there's going to be a 3-0 on their scoreline. Don't know what way around it's going to be, mind you.
Bold prediction. Let's talk about the matchup then. It is going to be Mad Lions taking on Diffuse Kids. What do we know about Diffuse Kids then? Because obviously the viewers will have seen a lot about Mad Lions, one of the most popular teams from the Spanish region, but they might not know as much about our Diffuse Kids coming from the Benelux.
You actually have seen a few of these guys before in the previous EU Masters as well. We had a few of these guys on Echo Zulu. Chapapi played a lot of Ari as well in the previous tournament. We have seen Alois before, and then even some of the other teams, some of the other players you may have seen on different teams as well, like Hades.
If anyone's wondering where they know Alois, he's a Riven main as well. So maybe we'll see Riven, because Riven actually is more viable than they were when she was in the last European Masters, so it is a potential pickup here for the Diffuse top laner.
And I know, Jake, you've talked to one of the Benelux casters, and you're looking at me like you have no idea, but I know you've talked to him. And you were kind of chatted to me a little bit about what to expect from these guys, but mainly their own expectations, right?
Yes. I mean, most of my chat was actually about Alois. And kind of like, on Riven, looks great. Off Riven, he plays League of Legends. But obviously their expectations kind of coming into this game, into this is to have fun. And remember that I'm in the Benelux region, beat Misfits in the last European Masters. Now, it's a very different Misfits.
Do we want to revisit that?
It was the Misfits, but represented the UK. It was the AP Sejuani, but they got that win. They didn't like lose every game in the European Masters, and maybe they're just going to try and beat their own record.
Sure. I mean, let's have a look at their opposition. It's going to be Mad Lions and Celtic. Storied team on a surge, and probably the immediate favourites coming into it. Not even probably. The immediate favourites coming into this match.
Yeah, and I think they have a few ways to do that. I'm specifically looking maybe towards that top lane as well. Yappa getting a good carry up against Alois, as you were mentioning, should be able to take that. Based on previous record, you would expect Yappa to have the edge there and be able to take that. Blurazor as well is on something of a kind of a little inconsistent, but starting to become a bit more active in the early game as they were improving. You were seeing that a lot more from Mad Lions, so more of that means that they should have this matchup. Yeah,
and I think they just arguably are the stronger team on paper as well. No offense to our Diffuse Kids,
Yeah, I mean, Diffuse Kids don't like to be strong on paper because they're hoping everyone underestimates them.
Exactly.
And they're planning on surprising us all.
That's actually what when I was talking to our LGL team, We Love Gaming, they said that's our strength. No one knows us, no one rates us. We're just going to go in and try and get a win. And they picked up their first win versus Random 5 today, and it looked very clean. So, not all hope is gone for Diffuse Kids. They are an unknown region, really, with an unknown team coming in. For most of these bigger teams, they probably won't have looked into in depth. I know there's a lot of scouting going into the European Masters, but they do have that element of surprise on their side. So it is always worth taking that into the draft phase, especially where we can always have a couple of wrenches thrown in the works.
Yeah, and I think, for me, if I look at Mad Lions in this game, though, I do want to look at the bot lane. Samux, he's been looking so much better. At the beginning of the play-in stage, his performance was okay, but he just really started to pop off.
Also, Yappa, the big carry from the top lane, had so many big performances on Hecarim. Realistically, was a huge carry for them, Celtic.
Yeah, and this is why I was mentioning Yappa as well, because especially on the likes of this Hecarim, through that, the team fight prowess that Yappa showed, coming from that laning phase and transitioning it so well into some of these mid to late game fights and being the main carry, really, is almost strange to see from the top lane, especially when matching up against so many AD carries, but doing so quite well.
So Yappa, obviously a big member. He was a huge part of the lineup that got them through the play-ins and had a big responsibility. Now we're going to have a look at the Samux side of things, and this is when he was playing that Misfortune, obviously into Nariki White, where they could have a bit more freedom with those picks. But Samux, someone that we have talked a little bit about when it comes to Mad Lions and how he's got that previous LCS experience. He is a high-caliber player and can have that carry role in the bottom side of the map.
I say quite a lot about AD carries, but typically, Samux has been very consistent for this team, and he's been getting better and better throughout the play-in stages, and I want to see how he's going to perform today. I feel like this, it always feels kind of mean to say, but this definitely looks like it's probably going to be one of the easier games for Mad Lion. But if Diffuse Kids want to try and get themselves a win, this is the man I think you want to be putting your focus on. It's Samux.
But the fact is, because you've both side lanes with the availability to highlight right there, makes you this really dangerous comp. Because if you've both side lanes winning, the mid lane almost becomes a non-factor. Generally, it's jungle mid decide the early game, but if you already have those side lanes winning, it's very, very easy for you to snowball a lead.
If you're wondering why we chose Mad Lions to do a small highlight video on, we had limited animals to choose from, and we preferred lions over snakes. So that's just the decision-making process that went into that. I prefer lions over snakes anyway. And
I feel like most people would.
No, you like snakes, don't you?
I mean, I like lions. I like all animals, but I'm
Funnily enough, right?
guy.
Like, fear of snakes is super common. Fear of lions, although I would say probably more founded, is less common.
Yeah, actually, that's true. I don't know anyone that's like just directly afraid of lions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't tend to encounter them much,
No.
I will
I mean,
say.
there's more snakes than there are lions, right?
Yeah.
So, makes
But
sense.
if you're faced with like a snake and a lion, you're going to be more scared of the lion, right?
Depends
You
what
would
snake.
think, right?
Depends what snake, really.
What happens if the snake's like, okay, let's say you have like 10 meters, maybe 20 meters between you and the snake and you and the lion. Which one are you more afraid of?
Well, the lion at that point.
Yeah, right?
But I mean, snakes can go pretty quick. Some of them have poisonous bites. Some of them just crush you to death. Like, I don't want that.
Okay, well, let's move on from the animal talk, and we're going to quickly head towards the draft phase between these two teams. And again, it's going to be a fairly important part of this process. There is always that opportunity for Diffuse Kids to find a surprise draft that might take Mad Lions by surprise. And speak.
Chapapi promised me an Ari.
Okay, well, he's promised you an Ari, so we're going to see an
Not
Ari.
necessarily this game, but definitely over the course of the 3 games they're playing.
All right, we'll see what happens. It's going to be the Rise ban again. That's something that's quite flexible for the Mad Lions squad. We see it banned against them quite frequently because not only can Pretty play it in the mid lane, but Yopper also can take it to the top lane.
Well, that Carly gets banned away as well. So, like you said, I just literally following up on what you said there.
I love the Skarner ban because Blue Resort has shown that he's pretty much only able to perform from what we've seen on that Skarner. It's been
a
very
lot of the
consistent
resurgence
pick.
wasn't the Skarner, so I agree with that.
I think it's a good ban, although I do feel that Blue Resort has obviously got plenty more in his collective pool. It's just that he's had so many good
This would be a great
performances.
time to show it.
Yes, it would be. It would be a good chance to sort of show that you aren't a Skarner one trick in the EU Masters, which has kind of been the case from what we've seen.
Rek'Sai is still technically open as well. While it's, again, like Blue Resort hasn't had as good of a showing on it, but I do think with the Skarner banned away, you could just expect Blue Resort to try and first pick that.
I think
and
it's still
quite comfortably
fair.
take
Like,
it.
the fact is they were comfortable to pick it. They swapped to the Skarner because that was being more consistent for them. I still think Rek'Sai is a top tier pick that Blue Resort should have the ability to pick up now, but it's going to be the early lock-in of the Morgana.
Wondering if Mad Lions were taking a leaf out of G2's book. It might seem a bit funny, but if you're looking for a game to test out and again, this is not something that I want to sort of throw any shade on Diffuse Kids, but if you're feeling this confident and you want a competitive game to try out a funnel composition, this could be an okay game to do it.
It would be strange though, because specifically funnel comps, even in the interview post after that game, it was noted
Only
that
good
funnel
versus
comps,
only good versus
funnel comp was
Sonatarek,
specifically into Sonatarek. If they don't lock that, we're not locking a funnel comp.
Sure, it's just something that I'm throwing out there as a potential. You know, always to keep in the back of your mind. Sometimes you might want to just test the limits of it in a regular composition. Now we're waiting for Mad Lions to round out the first part of their draft phase, where they go for the picks, and of course there's plenty of options on the table.
I'm interested to see what they do with this Morgana as well. I personally prefer Morgana mid over support.
I think I do as well, yeah.
But we will see how they decide to play this. And I think we have seen that becoming much more common than Morgana support in a sense.
Glacial Augment Morgana is annoying. Absolutely.
It's very annoying. And also Rek'Sai kind of tunneling over walls from behind you and then flash knocking you up. That's also pretty annoying. So Blue Resort going to pick that up. Like I said, the Skarner's taken away. They feel comfortable to take that as their kind of next jungler down from that.
Also confirms no funnel.
Unless it's like funnel or Rek'Sai, which would
That
not
would be
be
terrible.
good. That would not be good. But that's actually going to be a Vayne for Samux.
Pretty early for the Vayne, but into the Alistar isn't too bad. Has that nice true damage proc, so you scale into that lane quite nicely. Really interested to see what AD carry they might follow this up with, because if you don't lock it now, you can take away some of the things that could punish this. Would love to see Kitty pick up the likes of Draven, but we'll see.
Yeah, I would also love to have seen the Lucian, which would have been an okay pick, but it's going to be instead the Sion, which genuinely could be Sion mid, Vladimir top.
However, I specifically saw this on Twitter about how Aloise will 1v5 on Sion.
Okay.
So, as Twitter makes some of the best predictions, that's what's going to happen.
Well, actually, Foxtrot makes the best predictions.
Did he beat Twitter in the
He
end?
beat everybody.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah, so,
That's why he was the superior analyst.
he was the superior analyst. So it's going to be the Sion locked in, and again, like you said, from the general collective thoughts, that's probably going top lane for Aloise. And if Mad Lions have done their research, they might notice that as well, and they'll realize that the Vladimir is very likely.
Have you been on Twitter, lads?
Have you been
That's
on
your
Twitter?
big research right there.
Exactly, and they might end up realizing that they're going to be playing that Morgana into the Vladimir matchup in the middle side of the map.
It's dependent on whether or not they decide they just want to go for Morgana Vayne bot lane, really.
Yeah, you could,
Because you
again,
still
yes,
technically have that flexibility into an Alistar as well.
It's a good
That
thing.
double range, you have lots of shove and kind of early kind of poke potential. Obviously, Vayne, you don't really think of poke, sorry. I think that was a little bit of a weird way to word it, but when you've got that double range into an Alistar, who's just not a champion for the first 2 levels.
But the big thing, I'm looking at Diffuse Kids, and there's so many just big health bars. If you can go double support for a Vayne into a comp like that, you really want to, because she's just set up to shred through everyone.
Yeah.
And the Black Shield's going to provide multiple benefits for the Vayne, especially if you're running an AP Morgana where you're going to scale the Black Shield too. Versus a Vladimir, it's insane how much protection that can give a Vayne into a later game scaling. And also, obviously, if you have it in the support role, or even in the later game, Black Shield will prevent Vayne from being knocked up by the Alistar combo, which is important. It is going to be an Elise in the jungle for Hades here, so already seeing a bit of spice coming out from Diffuse Kids, not something that we've seen too many junglers pick up, especially when something like the Jarvan is available.
I like when this is kind of focused out as well. You see with the Kazakhs being banned, they were kind of moving away from Diffuse Kids having the ability to 1v1 in the jungle. Elise gives them that opportunity. Now, it still is difficult, but we'll see.
I mean, just take it away from it. Alois.
Well, he's already taken the Scion, but if you do know, Yoppa actually is a very, very good Riven player.
It's almost like every high challenger top laner has at one point been a Riven one trick.
Yes, at one point has been a Riven one trick.
Nearly everyone.
Yoppa is a very good Riven player.
Yeah.
So he's been given an opportunity to show that in this game. It is going to be likely the Morgana mid with the Galio locked in for Falco, and that is the composition being rounded out. A double support, a double protective support for the Vayne, and having that split push presence, but also a solid teamfight presence with the flash up unavailable for the Riven.
What I really like from Mad Lions here as well is you have so many engage opportunities. You have obviously the Galio and the Morgana, but even then the Riven can kind of run through the center there alongside Rek'Sai, but okay.
Well, right, so the Black Shield's going mid lane now.
Yes.
You've got yourself an Elise, who is a very proactive early jungler. Get that Draven fed. Just go bot lane. Just sit there with the Cocoon. Obviously, it can be a little bit hard, unless they actually send the Galio mid, which is technically still an option.
I mean, it's not something that we've seen for a very long time. That's why we've just been assuming that the Galio was going into support. But, I mean, they very well could send Galio mid into the... I mean, versus a Vladimir, you know, you do build natural magic resistance on Galio. It's something that builds into your build path quite nicely. It is going to be a matchup where you're going to get abused, like, pretty heavily. I mean, he is a melee versus Vladimir, right? But this looks like that's been locked in. It is going to be Falco taking Morgana to the bot lane, and we're going to see a Galio mid for the first time in ages.
I'm seeing it in a very long time.
I was going to say, the one nice thing that does is keeping the Black Shield bot lane means you can avoid some of the Alistar engages, but also the fact that you were just talking about that. If you want to send the Elise bot lane, try punish this Vayne, makes it so much more difficult with the Black Shield available.
Draven still does a pretty decent job of punishing the Vayne, even though he kind of doesn't have a support for a little while. Morgana, fairly squishy. Vayne, short range, and also quite squishy. If that's like a press the attack Draven, once he's got his, like level 3, he just stand aside, starts refreshing W, and just keeps running at the 2 axes.
Press the attack while fine. I would actually expect them to probably lean towards the Klepto Draven for that further stacking. That's been a bit more common recently, and I'd like to see that here as well to snowball.
Okay, gents, we have a very short amount of time before we hand over to our wonderful casters. So, start with you, Hitbrain.
I'm going to go with Foxtrot's prediction on this. Let's go Diffuse Kids. Let's have a bit of fun.
Okay, well, I'm going to say, as an analyst, I'm going to go Mad Lions, but Diffuse Kids, I really like what you're doing.
Diffuse Kids, let's do it. Up to Foxtrot and Blood Penguin.
Thank you very much, Scoundrel. And Diffuse Kids, Mad Lions, we got the Draven, we got the Riven. If there's a game to style on, it's this game.
I'm just really happy that I have convinced the analyst desk. We're all coming over to Diffuse Kids here. No, I think
Hashtag not biased because one of the players your friend or anything. No.
I mean, to be honest, I think Tig summed it up. Coach Tig summed it up perfectly on the desk there. Diffuse Kids, I love what you're doing. They got the Draven pick there. The Elise as well, very aggressive early game jungler. So I'm really looking forward to see whether they can get that snowball going in the bot lane.
Yeah, and I want to see that snowball, as I said. Like we talked about it a little bit while they were going through pick and ban. It's like, this Draven can either go incredibly well or not so great at all. We'll have to wait and see as we jump onto the Rift. Superliga Orange, Mad Lions made it through the play-ins. barely, let's put it that way, and then got into the playoffs as a 2-0 over Devils 1, going up against the #1 seed from the Benelux region of Diffuse Kids. And of course, we're just going to sit here and listen to the bell.
Yeah, I mean, Mad Lions had that really rough first day where they went 0-3, but they actually did not drop a single game after that. 3-3, or 3 wins in the next 2 days, and then they didn't lose against Devils 1 either to qualify. So
Effectively went 5-3.
Yeah, they're on a 5-game win streak here. So we'll see if Diffuse Kids can break that win streak. I think that the draft for Mad Lions was pretty smart. You have, with this Morgana, the flexer down into the bot lane here, because that's really good into the Alistar, which is Cass is arguably Diffuse Kids' star player as well, from what the players from Diffuse Kids have told me. So nullifying that pick is really cool.
Yeah, we see exactly the Riven going with the longsword start as well, feeling confident into the Sion matchup. You know, standard enough. Sion's not really going to be able to kill you. Well, sorry, let me rephrase that. Shouldn't be able to kill you in the first early game. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see if that works. Hades now on this Elise.
I want to see. I find it kind of funny that this is the first Riven of the Masters, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And it's up against Alois, who is a really good Riven player. Like, he's actually a Riven one-trick. And he says that, I've been told that domestically, you ban Riven from this guy. He doesn't get Riven. And now Yoppa's playing it against him. Is that the ultimate disrespect, BP? I think it's sort of up there, you know.
It's definitely up there as you take someone's signature champion and then play it against them. But the big thing is you have to win it. Win on it against them. And that's where the change, I feel, comes, because it's all well and good being Yoppa and going, you know what, I can do this, I can take this, and then not actually doing anything with that advantage if you get any. Yeah,
and on the plus side for Alois, he should know how to play against it. He should know the ins and outs of that champion, since he's very good at playing it himself. But, you know, with that Conqueror as well, there's some kill potential coming through from Yoppa. We'll see whether he'll be able to do that. I would imagine once Alois gets out of this really early game and when he can start itemizing into the armor, it should be very hard for Riven to 1v1 him. So it kind of comes down to Burazor on this Rek'Sai. Can he get some early game ganks going? Early trade here for Yoppa.
Yeah, it has a lot of damage, has hit the level 3.
Oh!
Alois has to flash away. Massive respect has to be given to Yoppa, but Hades is here. Did walk over a ward to get here. So is going to be spotted on the way out. And we're going to see some vertical jungling, as we like to call it, from both junglers. We see Rek'Sai is stealing all the camps on that bot side there. And we see Hades now starting on the blue in his bit. His bit. I don't know, I was going to say his section, but then I just completely lost the word.
this style of jungling is pretty common in professional play. You kind of split the map vertically, as you mentioned. Because now, if Hades didn't do this, he'd walk into his bot side and see it's all gone.
Then he'd be sad.
And he will be very sad and very poor at the same time, because Yoppa actually is using the fact that he's got this push on the top side to check and scout out this jungle. He's not going to find any camps, and he's not going to find Hades either.
Maybe he will.
Look at this bot side, by the way. Is this going to be a very early 4-man dive?
Looks like it is. Minions are here, though. Kitty, Cathbad's just going to back away. They will potentially lose a turret plate, but you know, a lot of time, a lot of efforts expended on that. You can see exactly what the Mad Lions want to do. They want to get Samux going. They know that Yoppa should be fine on this top side.
Look at the CS differences here, to be honest. Alois has done a pretty good job. I mean, to be fair, Yoppa did leave to go and scout at that top side. You know, it's nothing significant, but as you mentioned, in order for this Riven pick to get going, he has to snowball early. Elise is here.
Ooh, Cocoon just a little bit too late. Just end up missing off Yoppa. And it seems like Hades just going to push this up pretty much. And this is actually pretty smart. Gets the reset, able to get Alois out of this lane and get him back to get some kind of item.
Needs to make sure this goes under the tower here. Yoppa's not going to want to let that happen freely. Bully him, so he does go under the tower and it does reset the mini wave. Perfect stuff, excelente. Alois will recall here, pick up his first tanky items. That's the Barmy Cinder. Because this was such a good shove, he might not even need to TP. He might just decide to walk back into lane, which then could open up some plays. As that level 6 unravels, he can maybe TP and Sion charge his way into a play. If they want to do something around that bot side, make that play around Kitty on this Draven.
See now Kitty just stacking up Adoration. lane has gone back, picked up that Vampiric Scepter, so Samux looking for that early sustain in this lane. Falco just trying his best to pretty much not, let it hit the turret, but nothing really he can do there if Casspas goes in on top of him. I know we're putting a lot of emphasis onto this Sion and Riven topside, but I think it also kind of comes down to it that if you pick the Riven, you kind of need to be getting advantages for yourself. You need to be able to get those 1v1s, and yes, it is very much a, I can take you on at any times kind of champion, but if you're ever overextended, if you're ever caught out, if you're ever in a compromised position, that could spell disaster for your entire team comp.
It is a bit of a feast or famine pick. Yoppa, on the other hand, I feel like we hype up so many top laners in this tournament, and really
So many good ones.
It's a testament to the
So many
talent
good ones.
in the regional leagues right now, especially in that top role, where it's just absolutely stacked. I mean, recently people have been giving Wonder from G2 arguably the title of the best Western player, flat out. Top lane is a totally stacked role in EU right now. We're seeing it even down here in the regional leagues, and we might also be seeing a gank onto Alois.
Yeah, oh, nice flash there from Yoppa. They're going to be able to stop now. The unstoppable or charge, I should say. They are going to be able to pick up first blood, and it's going to be an easy one there, only if you're running the flash from Yoppa.
Mentioned it would be maybe a little bit too hard to get that stuff in the 1v1, and it would be up to Blue Resort to come up on that Rex site. Perfect timing on that gank because Alois didn't blow his TP before. It means he can pick up this minion wave. Yoppa played that one really smart though, flashing into the Sion ulti to block it. Now Hades has sniffed out Blue Resort. He's on a ward though.
Yeah, he is a little bit on the ward. They do just jump straight on top of that Elise. There's nowhere really else for him to go, and Yoppa picks himself up a second. There goes the Hemo Plague. They're trying to just get a little bit of damage redone. There's not really much they can do about this, and Mad Lions running rampant in this jungle, and the solo lanes are leading the charge.
He actually was not on a ward. That was my mistake. That was Diffuse Kid's ward.
I think I think they just literally saw him going in. I don't think he realized.
They sniffed him out pretty with that pyro in that mid lane, was able to get the first roam as well. A bit of miscommunication there, honestly, from Diffuse Kids. Should have realized that Pretty had disappeared, but a very good play by Mad Lions. A proactive play to leverage the strength of this Rex site in the early game.
See now, Black Shield has been used, Dark Binding misses. They get the stun there on top of Samux, but nothing else to it. Kitty still stacking up adorations, pushing in that wave. Now we're going to see a little bit of a reset for the bot side of the Benelux champions.
We've yet to see Elise really have an impact in this game. And you pick this champion to have an impact in the early game. We did highlight that bot side, which, to be honest, we talk about it because it's Draven and you want to set him up for success, but this is what's really smart about Mad Lions' draft, is they first picked the Morgana, and most people were expecting it to go into that mid lane. They previously ran it in that mid lane. It's a very common mid lane pick, but they swapped it last second into bot lane. Cass, mate, you're in trouble.
You have no ultimate either. There's going to be the flash and the heal by Kitty as well, but there is the Void Rush straight onto him. That's going to be pretty easy kill, you would imagine,
Pretty's
going
in trouble
over.
as well,
Pretty
though.
is also in trouble, but he's able to get out of that one as well. Chappie gets flashed upon. There is the Whirling Death. Samux picks himself up. 2 kills, or excuse me, 1 kill, second kill of that fight. And Mad Lions, they're playing with their food.
That was a really good two-player swing right there. It looked like Pretty was caught on the top side by Chappie and Hades, but it wasn't the case. Pretty survives. The fact that you've got this Galio mid with the Aftershock and that magic damage shield means it's actually really hard for Elise and Vladimir to have the damage to burst you down. And yeah, I was talking about the way that Mad Lions drafted this game. Ooh, Infernal spicy. With the fact that they put Morgana in that bot lane, which pretty much entirely nullifies the Alistar, I think the Galio's done a similar thing, and the Fuse Kids, they're in a bit of a pickle right now.
Casspas, you need to be careful. You are a level 5 Alistar. You are not a beefy steak. You are a... I don't even know what you would call him. Like a strand of mince.
Just a single
Literally
strand
of mince until he hits that level 6 point, which he's just hit. So now he's a bit more of a steak.
Yeah, the Fuse Kids as well, coming out of the Benelux region. This team, not off to a great start, but domestically an exceptional team. Didn't drop a single game in the playoffs. Hard smurfing in the Benelux region. The Mad Lions, I mean, what more do you need to say about these guys? They even came into the play-ins and an awful day one, which we touched about a lot. But these guys look like they've really found their swing, really found their form. And 10 minutes into the first game with a 3,000 gold lead, looking to be in a good spot to take the 6th win in a row at the EU Masters.
Yeah, Mad Lions, after day one, they went 0-3. Like you said, a lot of people were slating them. A lot of people didn't believe in them and kind of said, you know, wish we sent this person, wish we sent that person. But at the end of the day, they showed up. Not only did they show up on the, the second and third day, they then showed up in the playoffs against Devils 1. So this team has proven to pretty much everyone that they deserve to be here. They are rightfully in this tournament, and even just looking at the history of this organization in the EU Masters, they were winners in 2018 summer. They participated in 2018 spring, and you can't really ever count these guys out.
Hades now is looking for his first real gank of the game. Mad sort of sniffed this one out, but man, it's so tough to gank this lane. Mad Lions not only have the black shield to protect them, but also their spidey senses. That's not even a pun, but I'm just too good. But you know, if they felt like something was there, and then they're playing so far back. It's extremely hard for the Diffuse Kids to set up this bot lane, which I feel like they need to do.
Oh no, Cocoon is down.
Oh!
Loser, just gonna
Thank you very much.
As easy as you like.
All chat, TY for leash.
Thank you. Thank you, see you later. And kind of slowly running away from the side of Diffuse Kids. You see the Mad Lions, they're, 10, 20 CS up in a lot of the lanes here. 20 CS up in mid lane, 20 CS up in top lane. It's even in the bot lane. We have a quick look at the gold. It's 600, 1,300 in the top side, 1,000 in the jungle. And these are little things that, when you're coming into those mid-game fights and you're trying to get picks as the side of Diffuse Kids, you're just not going to be able to.
Yeah, having a gold lead spread equally or evenly across the board, it is... Some teams would prefer to have it on one person because then you can just play around that one person, right? It kind of depends on your team comp as well, but having it spread evenly means that it's very hard for Diffuse Kids to find a weakness to exploit to get back into the game. I mean, even Samux, who only has like a 300 gold lead on Draven. I mean, this is a champion that isn't really meant to be like that strong until 2 items. She's not even reached 1 item and she's sitting quite comfortable in that lane. So yeah, I mean, we're seeing altogether around a 4,000 gold lead, and it's going to be hard for Diffuse Kids to find their windows. On the plus side, they do have pretty good 1/2 item spikes, so if they can get to those points and not be really far behind, and find some picks with the Alistair, with the Sion, they can make it happen.
Rotaro gonna go down 1 minute till the plates drop as well, but Diffuse Kids are now walking into this top side river. Just making sure they can't just immediately drop it in a lane. Most likely not going to be able to get any turret plates off of that, but will be able to get a turret push.
Having the Herald for 14 minutes often nets you way more gold, but surprisingly, honestly, in this game, Mad Lions have only taken 3 plates in total, and none of them in the top lane, which is not what I was expecting to see, especially with the way that Riven was able to blow that flash early, got that early gank as well, rushing the Black Cleaver, which is a nice immediate kind of counter to the tank items that Sion will be buying. And just a really solid item in general, loads of CDR, makes her a bit tankier as well, so good itemization here from Yoppa. As you mentioned though, the Herald won't be used to get any of those plates, sadly for Mad Lions, but it would still be able to siege down one of these outer towers, break the first tower of the game for Mad.
It's not all doom and gloom, they are nearing on a 3,500 gold lead at the 14-minute mark. Still have the Rift Herald available to them as well, as we see Diffuse Kids trying to get some kind of an semblance of vision around anywhere this map, and it's very difficult for them to really go for anything. Infernal Drake is spawning just now.
Samux isn't here, but I don't think Diffuse Kids know that Samux isn't here, and they should not try and contest this one. I would be very surprised if they go for it, because you're just a bit too far behind at this point. And if you look at the item builds as well, there are a lot of people on Mad Lions who have completed their first items, and there are a few on the Diffuse Kids who have not. So I think you would be at a bit of a disadvantage if you went into this fight. Looks like they're just going to run it down mid instead.
Yeah, they can't really contest this, and the fact that the Alistair ultimate was blown because the Dark Binding was landed, couldn't really sit. Oh, never mind. Nearly got the Whirling Death, but you can't really go for those anymore. And we see the TP up to the top side. Alois is going to take a lot of damage from those Conqueror's procs, but does have upgraded boots, so he was a little bit faster.
Run away from this one, but is starting to fall a little bit far behind here as far as total CS goes. This Riven pick has been able to get this kind of early game. I don't want to say like hard snowball or anything like that. 2 kills is not a huge amount. We did see that in the Ventus game where the Rengar was able to pick up 2 kills, but nothing too much happened out of it. We'll see here though, Mad Lions. Ooh, Falco dropped down his ultimate, trades it for the flash to Chipapi. That's a good trade.
Yeah.
And it's the Herald as well.
Herald on the bot side as well, and they have got 4 people in here as well. They can keep pushing on top of this and potentially get a tier 2. This is very smart play, very methodical play from Mad Lions. You know there are people around, they don't want to risk it. So they're just going to back away, let the turret get a 1 charge down to about half HP. And Mad Lions, you can see they picked up the vision in the river. They knew there was no way in hell they could really walk up to them. Diffuse Kids had to concede it.
Speaking of no way in hell, Hades now sitting at 0-1-0 from the early game. Not what you want from an Elise, and now is also getting taxed of her jungle from Mad Lions as they're pushing deeper and deeper into Diffuse Kids territory, which to be honest is not Diffuse Kids territory for much longer with the way that this game has been going. As soon as that mid tower goes down, Mad will have pretty much free reign of the enemy jungle, and it's going to be very hard for Diffuse Kids to contain.
So what I like what Yoppa is doing right now, Yoppa is literally just pushing the wave into the turret, so it denies a load of minions. It's purposely not hitting the tower, so he can extend this laning phase as long as he possibly can. Now he can send his bot lane up to the top side or even the Galio, and they can continue to keep getting far enough this very far behind Zion. And Yoppa is just fine. He's sitting on, a Black Cleaver. It's going to be building towards a Death Stance now, so it's, it means he's going to be incredibly hard to kill. There's no real negative to this play.
Mad Lions are so strong in this game that they will win 4v4, even if Yoppa's not in the fight and Zion is not in the fight. But a way that Diffuse Kids do win is with a good engage, with a good team fight. In order to make that happen, Zion is actually a pretty crucial member of their team. He rings the dinner bell and he runs down and he can catch people. And he's the front line as well for the Draven in the back to get those spinning axes. So for Yoppa to just constantly be pulling Alois like backwards and forwards, top and bottom, it's going to make it very hard for Diffuse Kids to kind of find their footing in this game and look for those engages with that side.
And like you said, looking for the engages. If Kitty gets jumped on by the Gallia or even just the Rek'Sai and the Riven, he's dead. There's nothing he can really do at this stage. He has flash and heal, but he'll have to try his very, very best to get away from them. Got the Bloodthirster sealed as well, so a little bit of extra sustain and survivability. But again, so many threats from the side of Mad Lions, and they're just pushing in, making sure their vision ward controls, is just so good up on this river, and they don't need to make any mistakes because it's Diffuse Kids who have to make the play.
Slight comment about the itemization of Yoppa and Blurazor here, both going for that Mercury treads. Personally, what I would prefer to do here is, because they both have Conqueror, they've gone into that precision tree. There is a rune in there that gives you tenacity, legend tenacity. It's such a busted rune. You can get like 30% tenacity from that if you pick up those kills. And I would prefer to see that and not the Merc treads, because Mercs is only really for the Elise. Not really anyone else, honestly.
Yeah, there's no real hard CC that's going to be keeping you down locked for multiple seconds.
At least not that tenacity will help you with.
Exactly.
There's knock-ups, but that's not a tenacity thing.
Exactly, does not count. And we see Chappie has to be forced back to use the Chemo Plague as well, and this is just easy macro plays coming in from Mad Lions. They get the rotation off, they road in, they know that there's no one on the side of Diffuse Kids can answer them, they get themselves another outer turret, and then they back off again. They're now sitting on a 5,000 gold lead.
Chipapi is having a bit of an issue with his internet, so he's going to be taking a bit of a breather here. Oh, he's back. See whether or not we get straight back into game, get back into the action here. As Mad Lions are almost 5,000 ahead now, which is a pretty decent lead. However, silver lining for Diffuse Kids, the lead has been decent for a long time. So it's not really expanding a huge amount.
But it is expanding nonetheless.
Yeah,
and that's the scary thing.
The state of the map is getting a little bit scarier for Diffuse Kids too. And I mean, game's tough. And what you see out of these games is the big 20-minute mark. You know why that is?
No, you're going to tell me anyway.
I'm going to tell you anyway.
Yeah.
It's Baron Buff. And Baron Buff, when this spawns, it becomes such a bigger objective that it threatens, well, obviously easier pushes, and it's something that the other team will want to defend against. So if you are the proactive team, the one that wants to take Baron, the team that's ahead, you can use it, just like dangle it like a bait on a fishing rod to get the other team to bite, and then you can either it's kind of like a win-win where you either take Baron, then you get that better setup for those pushes, or you force a fight, and we saw that actually last game. This is the perfect example of last game with the SK Splice series, where there were both of those things happened, right? Where SK would use the Baron to get Splice to come over to them. They would force the fights. One time, you know, SK got like 4 kills out of that. Another time, they would just get Baron and then just barrel it down mid lane, and then you're actually able to crack the enemy's base. So Mad Lions are doing a really good job to just like keep their foot on the pedal here of this game, keep that match state in a favorable position for them. And we're at 19 minutes now, so we're 1 minute away from 20 minutes. And that Baron buff is going to be spawning, and it's going to be very scary for Diffuse kids.
Spooky, scary skeletons for Diffuse kids. And I'm already terrified for them as we see Yoppa just going to run in, and he has just got the lay of the land on this Sion. And there's nothing Alois can really do about this. And it's just kind of, you just kind of have to not die. That's literally all you can do, is just don't die and be ready if you need a TP that you have enough health to do something.
And that you win 5v4, which there's a chance that even if Sion does TP into a fight, that Mad Lions will just walk away, disengage with the Morgana, Black Shield, or maybe even win a team fight anyway. And then what happens? Yoppa will take not 1, but probably 2 towers. And it's just like, ooh. It's so tough playing versus strong split pushers like this when you're playing a champion that wants to group up, but you're behind.
This is the kind of scary thing as well, as we see Mountain Drake going over, as well as the mid lane turret. So actually just kind of, I don't want to say poor back timings, but definitely mistimed. There was no one there to defend that mid lane, so they ended up losing both objectives, both the Dragon and the mid lane. Definitely not the situation you want, but as I say, you know, Mad Lions, they're kind of getting to a point where they're so far ahead, but they haven't fought in so long, it can almost bait you into a false sense of security. It's like, oh, they're not that big, you know, it's only 4 kills, or it's only 3 turrets, and you don't actually, of course, see the 6,000 gold or the 5,000 gold that is sitting there, and we'll see now, Pretty getting jumped on here. Potentially gonna go, there's the Hemo play. They're trying to get something. The TP coming out from the Riven on the backside of this as well. Pretty does have the stopwatch, and he's gonna be able to keep himself away. Hades is just running, but he gets splashed on and stopped, and they're gonna keep going. Pretty is still alive. Yoppa takes down 1. Now they're gonna try and turn this on to Catspass. It's gonna be Alois trying to get something off of this, but there is another one. The Alistar falls, and then it's gonna be Chappie as well. And then a small proactive play just gets absolutely punished by Mad Lions. And it's just, there's not a lot the Fuse kids can do.
I mean, they tried to go for the play. They saw that the game was slipping away from them. Maybe if they get that pick, they can then turn it into something. But Mad Lions were quick on the turn. Pretty is ridiculously tanky on this Galio. As we mentioned before, with the Aftershock, with that magic shield, and the fact that the Fuse kids are primarily magic damage dealers, Draven wasn't even in that fight. He's the only physical damage on their team. Not able to bring down the Galio. Mad Lions turn, and they pick up Baron.
Baron at 21 minutes 30 seconds, 7 kills on the board, an 8,000 gold lead with 3 towers and 3 drakes to boot. Mad Lions playing this one by the book, playing this one by the numbers. Really just putting on a display here. And it's not quite there yet, but a perfect game potentially is on the cards.
That's very true, actually. No towers going down. No neutral objectives falling. No kills going down either as well. Maybe that is what's going to be happening here. What I'm looking for, obviously, to reach the perfect game, you got to do the steps, you got to do the process. And right now, for me, that step is the fact that Samax has just recalled and completed his Ginzu. So now he's at his really strong power spike here. Pretty as well completed his second item with that Mulabulon, which is very good as well into Vladimir. Vladimir is very healing based, so Mad Lions here really coming into their own power spikes, and meanwhile Diffuse kids definitely not. So advantages all across the board. It's all sunshine and rainbows if you're a Mad Lions fan.
Yeah, and they are, you know, so far behind without even noticing it, if that even makes sense. But
I think they know they're pretty far behind,
yeah.
honestly. I think they realize.
Actually done by Kitty. Actually get picked up that red buff there. Yep, but not able to steal it. But they spent so much time, so many resources there on the bot side. They now have to reset, and they don't really have full vision control of their own jungles to defend all 3 of these tier 2s. And Mad Lions just pushing, trying to get something, trying to find someone, take a little 2-step forward, a little bit of a misclick, and they will pounce on you. No hesitation.
And Kitty is moving his way topside. He has red buff, remember.
He does have red buff. We are going to see Redemption
Yoppa's
coming
gonna
down.
turn. He's feeling it. He's looking for it. He knows as well.
He knows there's 3 people coming up here, though. We're not going to see the Hemo Plague drop down bot side. Blue Resort trying to come in on that one there. Samix nearly taken down, but they disengage very successfully. And now we're going to see Yoppa up on this top side. It's 3v1. Can he do the outplay as we go back down to the bot side here? Chappie now in a lot of trouble. Flash in, but he tries to flash away. Doesn't quite get it. And that is going to be the kill for both the Vladimir onto the Vladimir and the Elise. The Riven will actually fall. It took 3 people and about 2 minutes to take down the Riven.
Yoppa's
Yoppa,
dead.
You
Great
gave
bust
up the
out.
perfect game. You gave it up, Yoppa. I'm only joking, of course. He did everything he needed to do to keep his team very much in the driver's seat. They're going to gain 2 tier 2s, 2 inhibitor turrets, and 2 inhibitors without any kind of real fight. The Fuse Kids,
Whoa.
they can't do anything right now. I think this game is as good as done because they're just going to try and go in and just trying to keep themselves alive, one last grasp. There's just nothing they can do. 2 inhibitors fall. Baron buff just about to rare out. Mad Lion's going to reset and probably look for topside and end the game.
Yeah, there's only 1 lane alive now for Mad Lions. Like you mentioned, it is that top side. The fact they were able to find opportunities to get both bot and mid there came again from Diffuse Kids realizing, you know what, this game, I mean, we got to do something, right? If we just keep on this pace, we're just going to slowly bleed out and die. So you got to give props to them for trying that, but ultimately they're just too far behind. It took so long to kill Yoppa. Almost got stuff bot side against Samix and Blue Resort, who are quite squishy. But you know what? At this point, they're too far behind. They weren't able to make it happen. And every time Diffuse Kids try to do something, Mad Lions are there waiting. Let's look at this. Was already like 30 seconds into this play, by the way. Like they'd already been trying to kill Yoppa for ages. Eventually, he does go down.
Stun as well. Like he almost got a double kill there as well. I feel like if he kills Kitty, he then kills the Alistar, and I think he gets a triple.
Yeah,
that's how close that was.
Holy moly. Riven is an interesting champion in the video game of League of Legends.
In the right hands.
Yeah.
And that's a very important thing, because in my hands, she ain't doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yoppa actually jumps straight in on top of that decimating smash.
Still, we shouldn't complain too much. This is the E-Master stream, not Hashinshin stream. So we'll move on from complaining about Riven here. And we'll look into Mad Lions pushing down the top side here, looking to put the finishing touches on a very impressive game.
God.
Goodbye, Cass.
That was the prediction there from Yoppa. Puts him in the line of the flash. Doesn't matter. Here we go. Yoppa going to go in. Flashes in. There's a double kill. Potentially looking for more. This could be potentially him going for a triple, quadra, potentially a penta. Here he goes. He's going to jump now. Trying to get onto that Vladimir. Chappie just going to back away. They're going to keep going for it. You're going to see them pad the stats right now. They're going to get the Scion taken down by the Vayne. Next is going to be the Drake, but that's double-double. Can they get the triple onto this as well? They will. It's triple on double. It's a full house, and it's Mad Lions taking their first win in the EU Masters group stage.
That is now 6 games in a row for the boys from the Super Liga Orange, not the Ultra Liga. That's the Polish.
A lot of
league.
Ligas.
There is a lot of Ligas.
Ligas.
Sometimes I get a little bit confused. But either way, good job from these guys. 3 games dropped on the first day, no games dropped since then. Group B is looking pretty hairy for that second place as well. This is another group who have arguably a very clear front runner in LDLC, the French team, who most people are expecting to take that first seed. So that second seed is kind of up for grabs here. And this Mad Lions Diffuse Kids was really putting that on the line. And Mad Lions taking this one down puts a lot of pressure on Diffuse now if they want to get out of this group. Because now you have to beat a team that is, by all accounts, stronger than Mad Lions if you want to get out of this group.
Yeah, like you're looking at the end of a barrel of a gun, and they're kind of they're just cocking it. You're like, oh come on, don't do this. And then an even bigger gun, it's like a cannon comes in. It's like, right, we'll move you to this one. It's like, oh god damn it.
Yeah, I mean, you asked for it.
Yeah, it's like, all right, we won't do it this way. We'll do it that way. But like you said, and like that was clinical from the Mad Lions. That was by the book. We know exactly how we make this work, and it just looked clean. And honestly, like we talked about, I know we keep saying it, but from their first day, they just keep going from strength to strength to strength. Arguably, the caliber of player they're going against isn't the likes of the Devils 1 in this particular game, but we'll know exactly what they're made of in their game against Team LDLC.
Yeah.
And we'll have to wait for that one later in the week.
What I was really impressed with the Mad Lions was their draft. Actually, this was a really good draft. Just across the board, really. I think they had so many good answers to what Diffuse Kids were trying to do. Morgana Flex was perfect. It completely nullified Cuss's pick with the Alistar. It completely nullified that win condition in the bot lane from Draven. And even Elise from getting her early early game plays off. The Galio was great. Everything about this draft was just so solid. And if you're looking at LDLC and you want to beat them, you have to start in this draft. And Mad Lions have shown that they can do that.
Yeah, they really, really did. The Spanish Mad Lions mauled the kids from Netherlands, and then we go to a break.
All the kids from that's
Yeah,
kids, mate.
yeah, Diffuse kids.
Okay, you know what? Fine.
Yeah.
Just throw it to
We're
bloody
going to
break,
throw
mate.
it to a break. When we return,
Get
we
me
will
out of
have
here.
more group stage
leaving.
matches.
I'm gone.
Don't leave me! No!
Bounce after 3,000, Selfmade jumps in. Selfmade gets it! And Mad Lions have bitten back. My God, that is absolutely stunning! They are the champions!
Welcome back to the European Masters, and we have thoroughly been diffused on the desk as Mad Lions take down Diffuse Kids in a very convincing fashion. And aside from the memes, I don't think we really expected anything less.
Yeah, I mean, I said it. I like what Diffuse Kids are doing. Still think they'll lose, but I enjoyed the ideas there. They seemed like they had some fun with it. They managed to take out Riven. They did kill Riven.
They got
once.
one kill. I think they'll take that away.
I mean, well, Diffuse Kids were definitely having fun. So were Mad Lions. They had a very fun game. You're playing a
Yeah.
Riven, you get really fed. I mean, there was like that 1v3, 1v4 top lane.
That was what I was saying.
And
That was their kill.
Almost got the kill. And like, but like, Yoppa almost turned that and got the kill as well. It was so close. The Wind Slash left him like 10% HP at least. Well, actually, I think that's even being generous. It was
10% I
great.
think is about right, yeah. You can see here, I mean, we'll go over the replays, but it was kind of the expectation going into this one. Aloise didn't quite do the 1v5 on Sion as expecting.
He was just a large participant of the fights, you know? He
Yeah.
really was.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. I'm afraid I am joined by no one else at the desk, as they have both started cracking up instantly at themselves. But yeah, in the meantime, we do see just Mad Lions had pretty comfortable run through this one.
Yeah, man.
Oh, no, I'll keep going. Okay.
It's so good.
Yeah. No, and then, I mean, you saw some of the attempted turnarounds here, but this, I think, was I believe, when Riven comes in here. Yeah, Yappa just joins the fight instantly, and then it just keeps running. I really wish I was joined by anyone on the desk right now, but yeah, you see Yappa just clears up fights so quickly as well.
I apologize. Let me get myself together now. It's all good.
Okay,
I'm
good.
back. I'm over this now. I'm over this. And yes, Mad Lions, I think they took the win and we expected them to. Diffuse Kids, they showed a lot of heart. And this is that 1v4 that you were talking about. And I think it was anyway.
I'm going to say 10%
Look
HP.
at Kitty's HP
I'm going to say
here.
10%.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, about 10.
Yeah.
And then he gets triumph, so he's fine. But yeah, it was a really good showing by Mad Lions, but
He tried. He really tried in that one.
That was very sad.
Swept.
Oh boy, I got a little bit of water in my eyes, by the way.
I've got a lot of water in my eyes.
I may have cried a little bit in that.
I cried a little bit during that as well.
I always
Mainly
said I'd
just-
never work with children, but here I am.
Mainly just through the beautiful play of Mad Lions and nothing
Yes.
else. I could have set me and Jake off again, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
They were about to.
I'm very glad you
need,
didn't.
we need to swiftly move on to the next game and the final game of our series tonight. It is going to be Team LDLC taking on Ensure, which actually Ensure has got a lot of quite recognizable players on it. LDLC, one of the favorites for this entire competition, so I think Ensure have definitely got their sort of work cut out for them, I guess is the way you could say it. But it is not a sort of far-gone conclusion. It's not a bygone conclusion.
Yeah,
you definitely have something there.
You've seen some of these members show up before. Chosen One, for example, is returning to the top lane, represented Turing Esports in the previous EU Masters and is returning. Xavielas has also returned from Could Be Better, I believe was his last EU Masters performance off the top of my head. And from there, you can see that some of these guys are coming back, but not all of them with the kind of record you'd expect from some of the players you've seen in LDLC.
And LDLC has a roster that really is to be feared, and I think a lot of people pegging them as a very strong, although Misfits didn't look particularly brilliant, the second seed coming from the French Open Tours, LDLC do look incredibly good, and I think we, when we get to have a look at their roster, we'll be able to run through each of their individual players, but they have got a stacked lineup, very much so, and you can see it right here. Hirit, Jocko, Aika, who most people would know as that insane LeBlanc player, but also having played a lot of Morgana mid, which is kind of back into meta, and Comp and Steel back as well. Lots of LEC experience.
I would say that the big standout for everyone is, in terms of recent experience, Joko is big standout for me. I'm expecting big jungle performances because we've seen a lot of junglers fall somewhat short in the early game. I really feel like Joko won't have that issue.
And Steelback moving from AD carry to support. Also Coach Yellowstar.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna
that
say,
was
that's
the
an
key
old
one I
school.
was looking at there.
If you're looking at recent performance, you're talking about Joko, but old school
Goal
Yellow
performance,
Star.
Yes. That's
Like
really
Fnatic.
cool. I did get some information a little bit about Steelback about making this switch to the support position. Apparently, he was a very aggressive player, often didn't have a support that was able to sort of support that style of play, and now switching to the support role, he's a bit more vocal, he can make plays that his AD carry can play around, he can facilitate that bot lane.
The thing often thrown around by a lot of AD carries specifically is that the supports decide the lane. And that kind of helps Steelback dictate the laning phase, and then after the laning phase as well, it's often the supports who really coordinate the engages.
Let's take a look at the other side then, and this is going to be Ensure. Chosen One, you may recognize Gentis, Zoar, Yashiro, and Zavilis. I think I said that correctly.
Zavielas?
Zavielas.
I think
yes.
it is Zavielas, yeah.
Yeah.
So there are some players, and Chosen One's probably the most recognizable from this roster, but again, they aren't a team that you should count out. They're definitely a team that could bring a good performance when it counts.
I think the big thing that was noted was that these guys, honestly, from the Baltics, even though it is a decent region in terms of performance and in terms of the players it seems to export, they tend not to do so well, or they tend not to do so well domestically. But Ensure is a team that I've been told has done surprisingly well in terms of the actual macro play. The way they actually decide what they do across the map has been surprisingly good for one of these teams.
And again, this is a matchup where most people will tip this heavily in favor of LDLC. So Ensure are probably working against the odds of almost everyone else, and they've got to kind of play to their own game plan. We'll see what can happen in the draft phase to kick things off. But again, we've generally seen, unless it's been a very close match, generally the favourites have tended to win so far in the European Masters.
Yeah, and I will say that I think for LDLC as well, this is a real good game to just put your stamp on this. Say, like, look, we are the French region coming in strong, especially considering that that last European Masters in the summer really was not a strong performance for France at all. This time around, look, we're immediately turning this around. Misfits have started that trend, but LDLC should be the ones to really cement it.
Yeah, since Gamers Origin, we really haven't had a massive performance from a French roster. And I think LDLC, when I was doing the rounds, asking the teams, it was like Rogue LDLC, Rogue LDLC, Rogue LDLC was pretty much the names that I was given over and over again in terms of teams that you need to be afraid of and need to respect in this European Masters stage. And this will kick off their group run, which I believe is Group B.
I got it. We've got it written here.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Why would you read my handwriting? Write it down yourself.
Honestly, your handwriting is a lot neater than mine. That's why.
Oh dear, because I have been told that thing's illegible. So, fair enough.
So we're into the draft phase, and we are starting off with a Rise and a Hecarim ban.
Pretty standard bans here across the board. I feel for like Ensure, this is very much like a kind of like test their power, test their strength kind of thing. You're going up against a very strong team. I put LDLC to take first, coming out of Group B. So, I mean, if you have like, even if like, obviously, you know, we're saying that it's weighted towards LDLC, for what is what we're expecting coming into this. If Ensure have a good showing up against them, then like a team like the likes of Mad Lions, maybe they might have something else they'll be able to pack a punch with.
Ban the Tarek. Just do it. We don't want that
We
today.
don't want this decision to be made here on this particular draft. A lot of Tilia bans coming through. Now, I know there was a bit of a Tilia Pantheon performance that we saw in the LEC.
LCK, yeah.
Oh, sorry, LCK, yeah, from coming out from SKT's opponents. But Griffin, I'm not entirely sure, other than what we're just seeing in terms of...
even before that,
Yeah.
Tilia was starting to see a bit more play. Actually, more so in the mid lane.
Wait a second. So
It's open.
It's open,
They've
but
taken
it
Rakan.
looks like Ensure have just taken Rakan.
Gentlemen's
Mid-lane
agreement?
Rakan, it's fine.
Wait. They're trying to bait maybe the Tarek Sona here and go the funnel comp into it.
Interesting. Maybe they are throwing that down to say,
Yeah.
well, we're going to try that funnel comp. Do LDLC say you can play the funnel comp like G2 can, or do they just say, let's go Sonataric?
You can also avoid the Sona Tarek here and just match the Xayah Rakan as much as you like.
Do you need to play Sonataric is the question. I don't think you do.
No, I think LDLC would rather a more standard game, but let's see how they play it.
Thinking about it. Okay, so it's a fresh locked in. Okay.
I think you don't take the bait here. I think Ensure were definitely looking for it. They were happy to leave Tarek Sona open. They're a very good team. They wouldn't let that happen.
I like the idea here from Ensure, though.
I love the idea from Ensure, but it's a big move to go for a potential funnel comp.
Yeah.
You know, I suppose at this level where things can be a little bit more wishy-washy.
Yeah.
But LDLC are saying, look, we think we're better in terms of even just laning phase. We're happy to just match you.
Yeah, I was going to say, kind of trying to bait it out is a good idea for the draft, but I again probably agree with LDLC not taking that bait at all.
I absolutely do. And now we can see the bot lanes and junglers essentially logged in here. Although we know Jarvan can flex, it almost certainly goes towards that jungle position. And we'll see where they choose to focus their bans. Whether Iker loses his LeBlanc here, the Morgana is already gone, so he's not going to get his hands on that.
Well, I expect Ensure to pick up a top laner after the next ban phase.
Maybe
Unless they decide...
even a mid laner too.
Well, yeah,
I think the
so
mid
in my
laner
head,
then try counter.
I'm just memeing.
Yeah, well, in my head, you either go like you go, okay, it's actually Jarvan top, pick like Skarner or something like that, and then pick like a counter pick mid, or you just send the Jarvan jungle and you just pick your top laner blind here. As we're already seeing the Kennen and the Jace being banned away, so some of these kind of more pokey champions you don't want to be blind picking into.
Yeah, it's the lane dominant, as well. I think the Jace being banned here is also because Ensure could lock that in, as you said, flex that again, and then you run into some other issues. So makes your draft a little bit simpler taking that off the board. I think you could even, as the side of LDLC, just lock something like Psy on top and not really struggle there, but I don't know exactly which way they want to lean this yet.
Lots of basic top laner bans coming out here with the Kennen, the Jace. Looks like both top laners are looking to play something that is going to be more punishable by those ranged matchups. It looks like Vladimir's still on the cards as well. He's been a heavy pick during the European Masters, hasn't been flex mid much at all. Kayle ban finally comes through, and now it's up to Ensure. They maybe either look for a counter pick mid or a counter pick top. I guess it depends where they want to put those eggs in terms of their solo laner baskets.
That was a very weird way to word that, but
I like it.
Solo laner
Simple.
baskets.
I think, again, you have to be a little
you
worried.
did it me there, mate. It's fine.
The only thing you have to be worried about then is that Ica can play these more assassin-oriented champions like the LeBlanc as well, so if you do pick something that's punishable by that, you are in a bit of trouble.
It's going to be the Urgot, which we assume will be top. I mean, we're not out of the realms of Urgot jungle or even Urgot mid, so we do need to respect the fact that there is still some flexibility in this Ensure draft. And now LDLC are rounding things up, just like we said. Things like the Vladimir are available to them. They haven't locked it in just yet. It looks like they are thinking about their several options. It's going to be the Aatrox, which again has fewer poorer matchups. It's pretty even, I would say, matchup into the Urgot specifically.
This is pretty traditional as well. It used to be Aatrox, Urgot. It's Urgot favored, but not heavily.
Sure. And it looks like we are waiting to round this out with a Vladimir that will come through. Very likely for Ica, but again, still flexible. Because
I think they just want to send the Aatrox wherever the Urgot goes, recognizing, unless Urgot goes jungle.
I mean, the thing is, Aatrox does fine, but still loses to the Urgot, so you have to be a little bit careful of that.
It's going to be the Azir, so we can absolutely guarantee that Urgot is going towards jungle or top. We assume top, and it's going to be the Azir in the mid for Zwar. Let's see where LDLC choose to send their particular carries. Looks like, just based off the swaps that we've got right now, that Ica... No, okay.
I was going to say, you might have hold off. Right now, Urgot's 80 carry.
Yes, I was going to say. I was thinking, because why would you send Aatrox into Azir? That sounds like a terrible idea. But yeah, it looks like this will be the finalized compositions for both teams. It's going to be the Aatrox Urgot top and the Vladimir into the Azir in the mid lane.
LDLC have a lot of mid-game fight potential there.
And even late-game scaling, to be honest.
Yeah, late-game scaling, but you look at the Rek'Sai, the Aatrox as well, that's where you really start spiking in the mid-game, and that allows the late-game carries to really come online as well. On the other side, they also have decent late-game scaling, alongside those mid-game strong points with the Urgot, with the Jarvan. I'd be leaning towards LDLC just off experience as well. That would be the way we were leaning regardless.
I think whatever the draft happened, I would probably lean towards LDLC.
But even we have consistently seen the Rek'Sai has the ability to outperform Jarvan consistently early, and that gives you that bit of a better mid-game to snowball with.
All right, very quickly then, let's get some predictions. Start with you here, Brain.
LDLC.
I made it easy for him, sure. LDLC.
I think most people here are going to vote for LDLC, myself included. So let's hand over to BP and Foxtrot.
Thank you very much. I got him back. He didn't just abandon me. He did get a text from his mom though.
Yeah, I just want to take some moment to apologise. I want to apologise for walking out your BP. My mum told me I shouldn't do that.
Yep, that's, you know what? It's all good, man. It's all good. But you know,
you're never too old to get spanked.
You should have finished. You should have finished that sentence.
Metaphorically.
You should have finished the sentence. Because now it's just that.
Let's talk about League of Legends.
Let's talk about League of Legends. So we have got Lithuania's Ensure versus the #1 seed from the LFL team, LDLC. Bit of a mountain to climb for the side of Ensure, but they've got some silver linings coming into this. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them put up a fight. But again, you look at the stacked roster that is Team LDLC. Like, it's hard.
There's a lot of hype around this French team here. There is 3 previous EULCS players on this squad still back, who was playing for, well, he's been around for ages. Playing now as support, not in that bot lane, but still he's been around for Donkeys. Ica as well had a stint in the mid lane in the ULCS. Joko, of course, as well. And how can you forget Yellowstar? Arguably the best support of all time. Now the coach for LDLC.
Yep. Still
A lot of big names here, BP.
A lot of them. Yellowstar still holding the record for most assists in the LEC all-time.
And I do remember Yellowstar was a bit of a fiend on that Thresh, so maybe he has, by osmosis, transferred some of his skills over to Steelback.
We can only hope for Steelback that is the way it is. Joko goes back. Want to reset, make sure he's not spotted out on his jungle path. But haven't talked about the top laner of LDLC, Hyrit. He is a South Korean challenger top laner. Played with APK in the Challenger Series last year. Didn't qualify for the relegation zone to try and qualify up into the actual LCK. But again, like we said, stacked roster on the side of LDLC. And I'm not sure, you got Chosen One, you get Zora. They've got like nice pieces, but it's never, you just can't really go up to this level of caliber when you look at the side of, you know, LDLC. But I want to see if they can, you know, change something. I want to see if they can throw a spanner in the works and really put this Group B into disarray.
Oh, well, we were talking about LDLC being a hyped up team. I mean, Ensure domestically dropped 1 game in the regular season, 1 game in the playoffs on their road to EU Masters.
Yeah, and actually, fun fact, they originally signed up as their team name was On Our Way to EU Masters.
Well, there you go.
And then they were told they had to change it.
Once they made it, it was like, okay, lads, you can change your name now.
I think they literally had it for like 9 days. They had it for 9 days, and then when they went in for it, it was like, sorry guys, like we can't do that. Like we have to have actual names, and they were like, they changed to Ensure, but shows confidence, shows that they were, you know, pretty much solid in their thinking that we're making it to the EU Masters. Now that they're here, they really got to show up.
Yeah, and it's the draft went a bit. Well, the fact that Sonataric, I keep doing that, slipped through the draft, both picks and bans, shows that for me both these teams came in with a game plan, and so I'm excited to see with Ensure with the Zyra Khan pick instead whether they can make that happen. We have seen Zyra Khan have mixed success in the EU Masters so far, but for Ensure, if they want to pull out this David versus Goliath victory, really with caliber of LDLC going into this match, then that lane needs to be able to make it happen.
And Zor pushed out of his lane. Joko gonna go back in though. Zor gonna get knocked up. A lot of damage. He flashes away, trying to get the knockback, but he doesn't quite get it. They knock up Joko though, and it's gonna be Zor breaking down as first blood, and Ica gets that one. And then they're able to turn this one onto Argenta as he's forced to flash away. Does not want to give away those double buffs, and that is going to be a perfect start for the French #1 seed.
Yeah, disaster for Zoir there in that mid lane. He got a little bit overconfident. Obviously was just walking away from Joko, no problem, no harm, no foul. And oh, that's a good knock-up on a comp.
It is, but it's an even better hook there back onto Javielas. He's going to trade an Ignite, so actually Summoner burned and Heal burned as well from comp, so overall positive trade for Ensure.
Yep, we talked about the spot lane, we want to get them ahead, so they want to really be that spark for the early game for Ensure. And getting Summoners that early is definitely the start that you're looking for, obviously. Not from that mid lane, losing that flash, getting that first blood, but still, for Ensure here, if you're gonna beat LDLC, then you have to be able to overcome something like a first blood. Like this team is just so, LDLC is just too good, you know? So the fact that you fall behind early, it really just shows that this team, this Ensure team, really need to dig deep, but they've already had to dig deep in order to beat this team anyway. Doesn't really change the game plan that much.
Yeah, shouldn't change a lot of it. As you said, they have to try and go for what they know is their win condition. And so look into this early game, like they have got the Jarvan, but we've seen it time and time again. The Rek'Sai just seems to have priority over the Jarvan a lot of these times, and it's Joko. This guy has been on the LEC stage. This guy has been in Europe's top division for honestly a very long time at the start. And he's just so good at what he needs to be doing and where he needs to be. And you know, a lot of the, even though he wasn't on a lot of the bigger teams, a lot of the smaller teams he was on, a lot of people would say he was the heart and soul of it.
Yeah, Joko has had a lot of success really on the highest level in the ULCS. Even though he's playing in the LFL currently, LDLC definitely looks like a team that benefits from his veteran presence. And for me, when I look at his itemization even this early, the fact that he's gone for Red Smite shows that he just wants to do some really big, like, he just wants to bully, like 1v1, just fight, just have that extra damage coming down to either against us or to the laners that he's fighting, because Blue Smite is what you normally see for Rek'Sai because it gets the slow for the knock-up and it sets up your ultimate.
Uh-oh.
But just like this.
Yeah, we're going to see it now. Zwar trying to go out, not able to shift over to the Sands. Ica picks himself up his second kill of the game. This is already looking pretty bad for this mid lane.
2-0-0 before his first recall. Iker is going to be very, very happy about that one. And Vladimir as a champion, we all know how strong he gets as the game goes on. He's certainly going to be happy about having an accelerated early game.
That just frees up Joko. He knows he has pressure in that mid lane. He knows there's no real way the bot lane can push up against him. Given where the wave is right now, they would lose a lot of push and to be able to freeze it so far up the lane. So able to get vision down, try and scout out any camps if there was anything open, backs himself away. And we're already looking at a 1,500 gold lead, 6 minutes into the game, and purely in that mid lane.
On the plus side for Ensure here, Azir is pretty far behind right now, but as a champion, it's okay if you don't have the best early game. Like, you don't pick Azir to bully out the lane phase. You want to get him to have that 1, 2, 3 items and be able to wave clear from far away, to throw down those soldiers, to get that poke in, and to have that consistent kind of control in these team fights. So for him to have a 0-2 start, it's definitely not ideal. It's not perfect, but at the same time, it could be worse considering his champion choice.
Absolutely, still equal on CS. Yes, he gave over those 2 kills. Unfortunately for him, that is going to be a Kindle Gem and a Hextech Gunblade. So a lot of sustain, a lot of cooldown reduction in that first back for the mid laner of LDLC. The French Giants make this advantage work for them now coming up through. We see that Joko is on the dragon on your minimap. He's going to be able to pretty much solo that one out.
Yeah, it's an Infernal as well going over to Team LDLC. Infernal has a huge amount of value in this team comp. Vladimir, especially when you have him with his passive, gives him more health based on his AP, so Infernal actually makes him a bit tankier as well. We already mentioned about how hybrid champions benefit a lot from Infernal, and Kai'Sa being one of those, getting the benefits from both the AP and the AP. And guess what the next dragon is, BP?
Was it an Infernal?
It's
another Infernal. Ooh, Unsure are going to want to make sure that they do not lose that one out. And we saw it in the SK Splice game as we see the shifting stands have to be used.
So much pressure from Joko here. He's
just
really
sitting in his mid lane.
Yeah, he's really breathing down Zwaa's neck here. And he has to be so careful because, I mean, I said, if this guy falls behind, it's not the end of the world based with champion choice, but that comes to an extent, right? You don't want to give Iker a free game in this mid lane, and he could definitely be that win condition on that Vladimir if he gets ahead, going for that Proto Belt early, having the ability to just crush team fights with a significant lead.
And now that the ultimate's down, no Emperor's Divide available for the Azir in this mid lane. Chosen One kind of honestly getting bullied out by this Aatrox, and given the matchup, the range versus the melee, it shouldn't really be going this way, but we talked about he is Hirit, he is a challenger LCK player that does come with a little bit of caveat. As you see there's the ultimate pop by both top laners, but Chosen One's the one who has to flash away first. Hirit stays underneath the tower because we can get the resurrection and some more help.
I thought it was lag.
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. It's a good play from him. I thought maybe something had gone wrong there, but no. So yeah, he dies, gets res, gets put on higher health than when he was. Oh boy.
Oh boy, in the mid line, there's the Hemo play going down as well, and Joko picked himself up that one while that was all happening.
Oh, no.
The invade from Agentas goes horribly, horribly wrong. Steal back, swapping from AD carry to support, sets himself up. That is just 5 kills to none. And Infernal Drake now at TP as the Ensure bot lane are so far ahead. There is the Dark Passions as well. They're going to try and charm them up, keep them away. Yoshiro trying his best to just do anything he can for his support. But Javius will just drop straight away. And all of a sudden, the wheels are starting to come off for Ensure. It's like LDLC shifted a gear, and we're now into, the next stage of when they want to win this game.
Yeah, LDLC have not taken a single break in this game. They're just powering forward in this early game. Joko on that Rex side has put on a clinic, especially in that mid lane. Now he's got his Warrior Enchant already. Iker, 3-0-1, a 300 gold bounty, Proto Belt, needlessly large rod thrown in there as well. 10 minutes into the game. These are significant leads all across the board right here. Ultimately, almost 3. Oh, what's happening? I can't look, mate. I can't look.
This is just sad, and the Emperor's Divide just pushes them into the Jarvan. This is looking a little desperate right now already. And you talked about these big item spikes. You can't face check that. You have to play defensive. They've camped your lane. They've made sure that you are not able to do anything. You've got to expect it. And Zor, he's just not respecting the fact that he's so far behind.
Yeah, it's just painful to watch at this point. I mean, on the plus side, he has his flash now, so maybe he'll be able to dodge the next gank that comes his way. But LDLC just totally had his number. Still backs Roam right there. I mean, lane phase is not over. Why is he in the top side of the river is what Joao would be. That was really loud in my headset, actually. But, well, you know,
they wanted you to know the Rift Herald had just been taken by Joko.
There, you know, we said this. There's just nothing being given since you're right here. Like LDLC didn't even start in first gear. They started in fifth gear. And it's just like, this team is really proving from this one game why they are considered to be one of, if not the best team coming into EU Masters, and why domestically they were ridiculously strong. I think they dropped 3 games in the entire season, including regular and playoffs. Such a strong team coming out of the NFL.
Yeah, they were in the final versus Misfits Premier, won that one 3-1. Fun fact, all the Misfits, or excuse me, all the Misfits, well technically yes, all the Misfits games went to 3-1 in the playoffs.
Misfits had a very impressive playoff run as well, winning that gauntlet too, but weren't able to complete the Cinderella story, falling down to LDLC. And Ensure might just be facing the same fate as Misfits did going down to this team.
Yeah, Ica taking a lot of damage right now, but it could all be just a big old bait as Steelback runs in. I must give props right here to Comp, as I just say, he's able to keep himself safe. He did not die. They tried to make a play knowing that the Thresh had just gone to the mid lane, and yet he's still not losing the tower. Chosen One now going on to hit right. Hirrit, excuse me, to get mid lane turret going down as well. Chosen One falls. 8 kills to 0. Mid lane tower has gone. We're looking at 5,000 gold. This is just a massacre from the Wolves of France, and it's just, I don't even know what even to say. The flash, everything has to be burned from Azor. He's gone, he can't stay.
Every single lane is barreling into Ensure right here. The only lane that's stable for them is the lane that's 2v1, which is in that bot lane, but even they don't have a significant advantage or anything like that. This game is, I'm struggling to really describe it because it is just completely, just like devastating for Ensure. The pressure that LDLC have been able to put onto them. It's going to be a second tier mid tower as well. Whoa.
Yeah, he's going to wait one more auto attack. Pretty much just going to bump over, bump, throw the bells out. And like Chosen One can't do anything. He's 2 levels behind. He misses the knockback as well. He has no flash for another 2 seconds. There's the ultimate coming out from him as well. As we see the World Ender pops in. Actually misses it
a little bit.
Does fluff it a tiny bit, but he has so much security in this. There's no real threat to him. He picks up a Infernal Drake from his teammate Joko, able to solo that one out again. This is honestly very, very clinical from LDLC. It's just so good, and you can see they're just ready for everything. They know where Ensure can possibly be coming from every angle.
This is very methodical and exceptional game of League of Legends being played right here. Oh my goodness, it's happening. Yashiro gets hooked, he's going down.
He is going to go down eventually. Top turret goes down as well, and we see just more and more gold, more and more kills, more and more advantages for this French giant coming into this game. And like, we went from one game, like literally the last game, that could have been perfect. This is even more perfect, if you can even get to that point.
You can tell what LDLC is looking to do here as well with the way they've set up their vision on the minimap. You can see there's loads of vision on the bot side of this jungle here, loads of those blue sighty whitey vision sticks. This is really good foresight from LDLC because it shows that they put this vision down, they reset, they come back, and then they look to execute on the bot side of the map and use the vision that was previously put down to enable them to do that. So this kind of thinking ahead, planning your steps ahead, is something that you don't often see out of teams who aren't in the top level of play. And the fact that LDLC can do this is very impressive, and it just gives testament to the power of Yellowstar as a coach here, the experience that he's lending this squad.
Yeah, And Yellowstar and Joko, you would imagine, and Steelback, having so many years of experience in the top divisions of North America and Europe, would have a lot to say about pretty much everything that this game can be. And, you know, like you said, making those steps, making sure you're hitting all the right marks, you're not taking any shortcuts, and you're just picking apart your team. And there's just not a lot the side of Ensure can do about it. Like, they need, right now, they need LDLC to mess up royally and then hope that they can get back into this game.
Right, I mean, we've celebrated LDLC quite a lot, and for very good reason. But if we do want to talk a little bit about how Ensure could possibly get back into this game, you're right, it would come from a blunder from LDLC, perhaps an overforced dive or something like that, catching some people out of position. If you do just want to sit back and scale, you have the Azir to wave clear. He can just get to those iron points, that 1, that 2, that 3. All honestly pretty big spikes for Azir. Hold LDLC back, and then in these team fights, if he can avoid the dive from LDLC, he can pump out a lot of consistent damage. You've got Xayah mixed in there as well. There's something to do, but you'd have to be very, very, I don't want to say lucky, but LDLC would have to kind of do a 180 on the way they've executed this game from controlled to sloppy. I'm not sure whether we'll see that.
And look at the vision control as well along that bot side jungle. There's just control ward, regular ward, all in the entrances, all covering any kind of flank, so you wouldn't even be able to sneak in, even if you wanted to. And you can see that every single time LDLC look to go for any lane, they then move it towards another one. They move their vision all the way up. They know that they're going to be focusing on this top side with Hirit and Joko. So now you can see little wards coming out. They're going to establish vision, get themselves even more advantages and more information.
And just to emphasize that point, if we could toggle the vision to Ensure right here, you can see how hard it is to play versus this LDLC squad who've been able to just suffocate the map from, look at that.
Thank you, observers.
Thank you very much. You can't see anything. And you're so far behind. If you face check, you just die straight up. I mean, ask why. It's happened to him like 4 times this game. Like, it's so difficult for you to stabilize in this game when you only own like 1/5 of the entire map right now.
And your jungle's being taxed away. You don't really have any avenues of revenue. You're just losing this game slowly but surely. You need
Not
something.
even slowly, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're at
surely.
18. We're pivoting very surely, as we see now. Going to be jumping onto the Xayah. There is the Dark Passage to keep him out of this as well. The Tahimo Plague does get popped. We're going to see the flashes in as well as the feathers fly. And look at that damage. He got 1 Titan Blood. 1!
Yeah, that's that double Infernal plus Death Cap again. Like, he is so far ahead at 18 minutes. Vladimir is an incredibly strong carry with items. And when you are ahead, you can itemize straight into damage. Like, Vladimir sometimes goes for things like the Zhonya's or maybe the Spellbinder. He doesn't care about that. He's just going raw AP, raw damage, has great synergy with that double Inferno as well. And it's just exceptionally hard for you to... He's going into Spellbinders now too. Like, just it's AP across the board for this guy. If he gets like 2 spells on someone, they'll die.
Yeah, we see now the focus is this Aatrox does pop the Youmu's, has got the E-shift as well. They do not get the knock up, and they're going to have to back away. You can see they were waiting to see if the Grand Entrance would land, and then they go Cataclysm, but just nothing doing. He's so safe on this Aatrox right now.
It's really hard to find these picks to get back into the game. LDLC are smart, they have a lot of vision, and they know. They know where they're weak. They're a very controlled team. Hirit knows that if the rest of his team is resetting or not in position, he can't be pushing up like that, and he also knows that will be Ensure's opportunity to jump in on him, so he respects that and backs away. Ensure look like they might get perfect game tier. No neutral objectives, no towers, no kills. Very scary for these boys from the UAE.
It is a very scary prospect to be coming into this game, and you could almost say, like, the bright side is that yes, you were going up against Team LDLC, who's favored to at least make it to semifinals, and also finals from certain people as well. You could almost take it as an automatic loss. Look towards your other games. You got Mad Lions, you got Diffuse Kids, you got a couple of other different teams in there that you could definitely look to try and go for, but it's very difficult to see how they come back into this one. We're 20 minutes into the game. It is a 11,000 gold lead, and I say that the hook away. That's going to be Argentis going down. The Emperor's Divide buys Azir a little bit more time. Hirit just blocked everything pretty much. He's going to go in, pop his ultimate now, and just resurrect, no problem at all. Chosen One just get the heal. More hooks from Steelback. They get all the Hellfires, they get all the Summoners, they get everyone out of their way. They're just going to turn and burn for Baron.
They're just too far behind. They can't make these fights happen. They're lucky they only lose one person. LDLC are just going to keep pushing here. They've got a good push in this top lane. Ica, the more AP you have, the more damage you deal to towers as well, which is what made a lot of these AP champions viable in the 1v1 as split pushes. It's partially why you see Ryze have such high priority as well in the draft. The fact that Ica can just do that tower damage, LDLC as well, they're not losing these fights. They're getting the towers down. The only towers alive right now, 21 minutes into the game, are the ones standing by the inhibitors.
And even look at the way the kills are distributed. You have 11, but it's not just like the support or the jungler has 11, out of 11 kill participation.
The max is 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's like, you have 3 kills on the top side. That was all on, here it's solo. You have a 2-0-4 Rek'Sai. That was pretty much in the mid lane, which then fed the Vladimir. And then you have a 2-0-1 Kai'Sa, who's just been doing it herself as well. So there's just so much they can do off of this. Joko is not afraid. They have vision, they have teleport, a double teleport, and this could be all she wrote to the side of Azure. This legacy of Shurima just go down. They're trying to keep Azir alive as far as long as we possibly can. Shifting Sap is going to keep him alive, but it is the Rakan on the backside that is going to fall down on this particular plate. They're still trying to go for Ica. They're still trying to see if they can get the damage down. Chosen One is doing so much. He will get the Fear Beyond Death. That is the first kill of the game and of EU Masters for Ensure, but it is almost certainly going to mean that everybody else is going to die. Joko picks up that one. That is 4 for 1 in favor of LDLC, and I think they just go for Baron.
LDLC almost acing Ensure right there. They're going to turn to the old Baron Asher, and you would expect the rest of this game will be over very soon.
Yeah, not really a lot that this Azir can do. Can push up the wave, has no more Legacy of Shurima passive either. Baron goes over a 14,000 gold lead, even higher, nearly 15,000 at 24 minutes. Comp just going to go into this mid lane. They don't get any kind of push whatsoever. And you got to feel in the next 3.5 minutes, it's going to be LDLC breaking the Nexus.
If Ensure can hold on during this Baron buff, it would really be nothing short of a miracle at this point. Ica, filthy, dirty Inter. He's getting a cheeky little report at the end of this game. First key, yeah, look at that. Shame on you, Ica. Shame.
How dare you get executed by something that's an automatic execute.
I mean, when we talk about this game from the grand scheme of things, as far as the group stage is concerned in the EU Masters, this is Group B. Alongside LDLC and Ensure, you have Diffuse Kids and Mad Lions. Those two just played. Mad Lions were the, spoiler alert, Mad Lions were the victors of that one. As far as you're concerned, LDLC are looking to go through as the #1 seed, which means that you're fighting for second place. As far as it goes, losing to LDLC is not the worst thing in the world. You're not expected to win this game. For Ensure, obviously, it's not over till it's over, but looking forward here, you just got to be able to beat the other two guys, and then you can still make it out of this group.
Yeah, it's definitely not the end of the road for sure. It is only game 1, but like you said, it's pretty much an expected loss, similar to what we talked about earlier today as well with Big and Ventus.
Yes.
Something that you just kind of have to accept that, yes, there is a massive gulf in difference. Oh my God. Popped isn't even the word for it, and that's going to be the final fight starting off. Already 1 man down, Ensure, 2 man down, 3 man down, 4 man down. It's going to be the clean ace, and LDLC are just dominating in this game.
LDLC are proving why everyone's saying this is a top 3 team in the EU Masters. What a dominating performance from these guys, rolling over the Baltic team from the BEL.
And that is pretty much as close to an incredibly, without that 1 kill, it's a perfect game. And I know we keep talking about it, but because they're so rare nowadays. Perfect games are so rare. As I say that, they are diving to try and pad those stats, but the Zhonya's going to say like a second death. What else is to say in that game?
I'm going to say that was almost a 1,000 gold lead per minute. They ended that game with about a 20,000 gold lead.
We'll have to check that
24
one, actually.
minutes.
That could potentially be it. So,
what?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
that
So dominating.
That is scary. Like, that is genuinely scary now. If you're looking at this, if you're Rogue, if you're Fnatic, if you're, you know, big, you're one of these teams that everyone's kind of going, oh, these guys should do well. That was terrifying.
Absolutely
That
terrifying.
was genuinely one of the most scariest teams I've seen. And, like, you know, on the levels of what we saw G2 on LEC stage on the Sunday as well, like, you're kind of going like, oh, my God, dude, stop. They have families.
That was absolutely brutal. I mean, if you are like a coach for one of the other teams that is expected to get through the groups, a lot of the you know LEC sister teams, obviously, then I am definitely looking at LDLC here.
Too many L's.
Too many L's. Just like the big fat one that Tio took right there. I'm definitely looking to see, let's scout these guys out, right? Because if we face these guys in the playoffs, especially if we finish as a second seed and these guys finish as a first seed, you might meet them here in the knockouts, right?
That's what I was gonna say. Like, now first seed becomes an incredibly, like, we need first seed. We need, even then, like, you're kind of looking at these guys and kind of going like, we can't go against these guys, or we're gonna have a serious problem. And fair enough, you know, I do believe in the mantra of, like,